sounds like anaphylaxis, looks like anaphylaxis, and is even treated like anaphylaxis, but isn't anaphylaxis. It's scombroid poisoning. I had never heard of this. So what is scombroid poisoning? How do we diagnose it? And how do we treat it? So scombroid poisoning comes from fish, generally a darker meat fish like tuna or sardines, and it comes because the fish hasn't been managed properly. Either it was not stored properly before it was frozen, it can be canned or steamed or fried. You can still have this poison happen, and the poisoning happens because there is an increase in histamine in the fish. So you could even cook the fish and you can still get this scombroid poisoning. The reason why it looks like an anaphylaxis is because the amount of histamine that gets released. It's not a normal anaphylaxis because even if you've never had scombroid, normally you need to have the allergen, so you have the bee sting once and then you have a bee sting again, then you have the anaphylaxis. With scombroid, you don't have to be exposed before. This is just a once-off exposure. This is often treated like anaphylaxis because people think it's anaphylaxis, but it's actually not. The way that you will be able to tell the difference is that someone who's never been exposed to fish or a kind of fish and suddenly they have a reaction to it, or they've had tuna many times and now they have tuna and now they're affected by it. Generally speaking, the symptoms take a couple of minutes to about half an hour to have onset. You can have rashes and you can have hives and you're going to have GIT effects, so like diarrhea and vomiting and flushed skin, all of these things that look like anaphylaxis. The symptoms can last for a couple of hours to even a day or two. They are generally self-limiting, so they kind of just fix themselves and go away at some point. Adrenaline and corticosteroids are not going to work. The only thing that's going to work is an antihistamine medication, so H1 receptor antagonist, so your diphenhydramine, and that will then effectively treat this problem. You're not going to give your normal adrenaline and corticosteroids because they're not going to be as effective. The way you're going to tell that it's probably scombroid poisoning is that they're going to be multiple people with the same problem. So not like one guy gets stung by a bee and now he has a problem. It's a family eats a can of tuna and the family gets the problem. Not just one person, but many people. The other important thing to note is that you should inform your health department or whatever department of food and health and safety and all that sort of thing, because obviously there might be a contamination batch. So you can keep hold of the tin of tuna, try and find a batch number, and then they will be able to inform more people that there is a problem with the fish. What's important to note is that even if you cook the fish or it's canned or it's steamed or whatever or smoked, the histamine is actually heat stable. So even if it gets really hot, it doesn't actually get rid of that histamine. That's going to be absorbed. And it's also really important to know that it's probably going to be misdiagnosed initially, but that's not really a problem because you're going to be giving your antihistamines, you're going to be giving your adrenaline and your corticosteroids. And the adrenaline and the corticosteroids are not really going to have a negative effect. The adrenaline might have a positive effect with the histamine, but then your antihistamine is going to be really your treatment. So this is something that's new to me. And if it's new to you, I'd love for you to hit like, subscribe, and share because I think more people need to know about this. Guys, thanks for your time. If you did enjoy this, then you should probably check this out because this is pretty cool too.